Hello, everyone. Welcome to Action Theater Presents The Big Sleep, part of our film noir month. The Big Sleep was from 1946, and deleted scenes, the YouTube Ronin will read you the synopsis.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. The synopsis reads as follows. As a drama and suspense film from 1946, LA Private Eye Philip Marlowe takes on a blackmail case and a trail peopled with murderers, pornographers, nightclub rogues, spoiled rich, and more. Humphrey Bogart plays Raymond Chandler's legendary gumshoe, and director Howard Hawks serves up snappy character encounters, particularly involving Lauren Bacall, a brisk pace and atmosphere galore in this certified classic.
Mhm.
Yes, film runs 1 hour and 54 minutes. Would probably be akin to like a PG-13 movie today. Um, of course, Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Martha Vickers, and Dorothy Malone. So yeah, classic of the genre. And Bill, have you seen The Big Sleep before?
I have not.
Okay,
If I did it was probably just bits and pieces. Was that when I was a kid?
okay. Well, you're in for a treat because this movie's a classic for a reason. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to what you think of this one in particular. So,
All right.
all right, join us in the Cosme. We have in the chat, friend of the channel, Andrea Black. Resolute Germ is with us. All right, the Cosme link should be pinned to the top of the chat.
Yep. Let's head out over at it should be pinned at both of our channels, and just head on over and we'll start the film.
Right on.
All right, here we go. Everybody ready? Give it a five count. Five, four, three, two, go.
Warner Brothers Pictures. Howard Hawks production. William Faulkner, Lee Brackett, Jules Furthman with the screenplay. And yes, that is the same Lee Brackett that would later go on to write The Empire Strikes Back. We opened at Sternwood Mansion.
I notice that that's a mighty large door. Crescent in the entryway is two pillars with candle holders. Very vintage goth furnishings I notice in here.
Hmm. Martha Vickers as Carmen Sternwood.
She was very young when she took on this role. I guess it would be about maybe 20.
Hmm. Hmm.
Would you call that either an atrium or just a greenhouse?
It's yeah, kind of a greenhouse. Yeah. Hmm. Welcome to Alicia Belford. I've left the Cosme link in both of my chats.
We're exactly 9 minutes in.
Mhm. Hello to Gambit the First. Hmm. Mrs. Rutledge, good evening. Build the acres of movies.
Welcome.
Who would I cast in a remake? I wouldn't remake it. It's perfect just as it is. Hmm. Yeah. Thank you. This show is pretty much all Bill. I'm
Yeah,
just a sidekick.
that's also part of the audience out there. I mean,
Hmm.
we're doing the film noir due to a fan suggestion.
Hmm.
Hello, Connie Clary.
Hello, Connie.
strong supporter of our both channels. Always good to see you.
Uh, oh, do you now? Okay. A guy in the Geiger's bookstore, see? Yeah. How's the front? I mean, bookstore. Okay.
I sense there could be a private card game going on in the back. Is this Molly's game?
Yeah, on that kind of day.
I came booked up. Oh, Warner Brothers were there. I came.
Dorothy Malone. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we have an hour, you say? Yeah. So we're at now at Geiger's residence, obviously, and this is where he does his real work, which is we're going to find out is some pretty nasty stuff. Well, well, well. Whoops!
Away.
Two cars fleeing the scene.
And
Geiger is no more.
uh, the girl's in hysterics.
Now she's high as a kite. Yeah, this girl's basically kind of the 1940s equivalent to like a Cardassian or a kind of a Paris Hilton, something like that. And the idea is they've got all these like nudie pictures of her that they can use to blackmail her dad with. This is a little black book, encoded, of course. Yeah. Marlowe back at the scene of the crime. Meanwhile, back at HQ. Jamie Lynn Simons. Hello. This is where things start to get a little complicated.
Hey, Bernie, when can we have a weekend at your place?
and scratch. Don't be hasty. Yeah, I would be. I tell you, there are times where I don't know how they got away with this movie. And that's where that comes from. Get it, Sydney and Pete?
Ash, you're right in your
Whoops!
The old drop the gun on the ground trick. Just remember time. We're at 59:38.
Heyo. Hey, Tim, we're about halfway through the movie.
1 hour, 4 minutes. Very funny, Tim.
Say, from the Women of Marlowe collection. She's 3 miles of bad road. But long song. Yes, what a lovely tune will drive us till the dawn. Coming up next will be the Lemon Sisters with I Can't Get No Satisfaction. I want to introduce you to the band. Each and every one of them is a badass mother effer in his own right. Thank you. Uh, oh no, whatever gave you that idea, Tim?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's nifty.
No, he was not. More money. It was Damon Wayans. Mm.
She bit him. Yeah, shut up.
Tossed salad. I'll stop.
Yeah, get your mind out of the gutter.
Wilmer. Samuel Cogley, attorney at law. Better hang on to those 45, son. You're going to need them. Yeah. House stick? No, house cat. Oh. Cane powder. Yes, I'm afraid he is.
A little guy. A little guy again.
Little guy, kind of funny looking.
Oh, nothing fishy there.
Oh, yeah, didn't give her up. No, you were not in Raw Deal. That was Arnold. Oh, jeez. These kids today. Yeah. Hmm. Well, cheaper than brass knuckles, I guess. Mrs. Mars, good evening. Comic Relief Crusader, good to see you. Thank you very much. Here, can you now? Oh, this so for a little falcon statue. No. That was last week, Tim. Okay. By the time this is over, you're gonna wish this was over a falcon statue. Like that. Really. Hi. Seven violent deaths. A mad woman. Oh boy.
Okay,
All
that's
right. The big sleep, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
And who killed the chauffeur? Fuck the no. Those people don't know anyway. All right. All right. If let me know. Was your first time watching it? What do you think of the movie? All right. Shall we salt the rolls?
Yeah, you shall.
All right. The Big Sleep was released August 31st, 1946. Estimated budget 250,000, going on to gross more than 53,000 around the world. Was added to the National Film Registry in 1997 and joined the Online Film and Television Association Hall of Fame in 2017. All right, was filmed between October 10th, 1944 and January 12th, 1945, with additional scenes and retakes in January 1946. It was filmed on location at Warner Brothers Burbank Studio, stage 15, 16, 19, 20, 22, 24, 28, 28A, 7, and 8. All right. On to the trivia. The scene where Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall make suggestive talk about horses was added almost a year after filming was otherwise complete in an attempt to inject the film with the kind of risque innuendos that had made To Have and Have Not and Bacall so popular a few years before. Mars' henchmen are named Sidney and Pete, a tribute to Bogey's frequent co-stars Sidney Greenstreet and Peter Lorre. Warner Brothers studio chief Jack L. Warner gave Howard Hawks $50,000 to purchase rights to the source material. Hawks bought the rights for $5,000 and pocketed the rest. According to film historian John Chuska, the purchase price was actually $10,000. The film was completed January 12, 1945, and was shown to American servicemen overseas, but was not released in the United States at that time. The end of World War II, Warner Brothers pushed back the release of this film in order of its completed war-themed films. Among these films was Confidential Agent, which also starred Lauren Bacall. After her performance in that film was panned by critics, Agent Charles K. Feldman convinced Jack L. Warner that another failure could ruin Bacall's career. In a letter dated November 16th, 1945, Feldman wrote Warner that if Bacall receives the same type of general reviews and criticisms on The Big Sleep, which she definitely will receive unless changes are made, you might lose one of your most important assets. Though the additional scenes will only cost in the neighborhood of probably 25 or 50,000, in my opinion, this should be done even if the cost should run to 250,000. Feldman advised Warner to, quote, give the girl at least 3 or 4 additional scenes with Humphrey Bogart of the insolent and provocative nature that she had to have and have not. Nina Falk tested for the role of Carmen. Due to Humphrey Bogart's affair with co-star Lauren Bacall's marital problems escalated during filming, and his drinking often resulted in his being unable to work. 3 months after the film was finished, Bacall and Bogart were married. Raymond Chandler claimed that Martha Vickers gave such an intense performance as Carmen Sternwood that she completely overshadowed Lauren Bacall, and that much of Vickers' performance ended up on the cutting room floor as a result. Uh, Rumors that Andy Williams dubbed Lauren Bacall's singing voice are untrue. Both director Howard Hawks and Bacall confirmed she did her own singing. The same rumors persist regarding her singing to Have and Have Not and are equally untrue. The fussy persona that Marlowe adopts upon arriving in Geiger's bookstore has been a subject of argument for years. Bacall said that Bogart came up with it, while Howard Hawks claimed in interviews that it was his idea. Uh, what both of them failed to notice was that in the original book, uh, is that it was in the original book. Quote, I had my horn rimmed glasses on, I put my voice high, and I let a bird twitter in it. All Bogart did was elaborate on it. Many of the cars in the film have a B sticker in the lower right corner of their windshields. This is a reflection of the wartime rationing of gasoline. Gas was rationed primarily to save rubber because Japan had occupied Indochina, Malaysia, and Indonesia. There was a shortage of gas on the East Coast until a pipeline from Texas was constructed to replace the transport of crude oil by sea. The B sticker was the second lowest category, entitling the holder to only 8 gallons of gas a week. Marlowe seems to use more in 1 week's allotment during a 72-hour period, which may be intended to reflect the black market in ration books. However, since Marlowe still has a deputy badge, at least in the deleted scene which existed in the 1945 version, he would be entitled to an X sticker, unlimited gas, as a peace officer. Perhaps the B sticker on the windshield was camouflage, since an X sticker would make the car extremely noteworthy. Marlowe also refers to 3 red points and speaks of a dead body as cold meat, which refers to the red tokens used to acquire a family's allotment of meat during World War II. This was the film that began the long relationship between Howard Hawks and writer Lee Brackett till his death in 1977. Initially, he assumed she was a man. Hawks hired her after reading a story she wrote entitled No Good for a Corpse. However, when she was hired, she only finished half of another story that she wrote titled Lorelei of the Red Mist. Her friend Ray Bradbury finished the last half. William Faulkner came out to Hollywood to work on this film, but found that being around the set didn't agree with him, so he asked Hawks if he could work, quote, from home. Hawks agreed, assuming that Faulkner met from his Hollywood apartment. Instead, Faulkner returned to his home in Oxford, Mississippi, leaving Hawks rather unhappy. This was the final film of Charles Waldron, who played General Sternwood. He died before the film premiered. However, he appeared in 3 other 1946 releases after that. Despite opening earlier in the year than Big Sleep was shot after it, James Stewart recreated the role in the 1978 remake in one of his last roles. Coincidentally, Waldron had played Stewart's father in Navy Blue and Gold. Production dates for the film are, now we said this, October 10th, 1944 through January 12th, 1945, with additional scenes and retakes shot beginning January 2nd, 1946. The bulk of the film was shot during wartime. The second of 4 films made by Bogart and Bacall. This film follows Bacall's debut into Have and Have Not, during which their romance was first kindled on set. Following this film, the couple teamed up twice more for Dark Passage and Key Largo. The car that Bogart uses in this film is the same one he used as Roy Earl in High Sierra, a 1938 Plymouth Deluxe. When Marlowe is staking out Brody's apartment building prior to Mrs. Rutledge's arrival there are 2 inspection ration stickers on the right side windshield of his car. Elsewhere in the film, there are 3. The entrance hall of the Sternwood Mansion, originally shot in 1944, was reused as the Baragon Mansion entryway in Mildred Pierce. When Marlowe is talking to the proprietress of the Acme bookstore, the Wire Cutters by Molly E. Moore Davis is visible in the background. Bogart's indecision over whether or not to leave his wife triggered a bout of nerves for Lauren Bacall, whose hands shook whenever she had to light a cigarette or pour a drink during the filming. Howard Hawks did not approve of Bogart and Bacall's relationship. He discovered Bacall and had her under a personal contract and felt rather paternal toward her. In addition to lecturing her about staying away from her co-stars, Hawks and his wife tried to fix her up with other men, including Clark Gable. William Faulkner never adjusted to life in Hollywood while working on the script. He told Howard Hawks that the studio atmosphere is stifling him and asked if he could work from home. Hawks agreed. After a few days without hearing from him, Hawks called his hotel only to learn that Faulkner had checked out, gone back to his native Mississippi. When Hawks called him there, Faulkner protested, "Well, you said I could go home and write, didn't you?" According to Bacall, production was such fun that they got a memo from Jack L. Warner saying, "Word has reached me that you are having fun on the set. This must stop." Dorothy Malone was just starting out in movies when she played the bookstore clerk. She was so nervous about making the scene that they had to wait the glass of liquor she offers him to keep her hands from shaking. Everybody's just way too shaky on this movie. Maybe calm down on the alcohol. I don't know. During shooting, Howard Hawks added a strong implication that Marlowe and the bookstore clerk are about to make love as the scene ends. There is no such indication in the novel, but as Hawks was so struck with the 19-year-old Dorothy Malone's mature sexuality, he decided to make the scene steamier. Yeah. Well, they did have an hour. They're single. They're adults. All right. In recutting the film, Howard Hawks removed the scene in which Marlowe explains the crimes. The film's success supported his growing conviction that audiences didn't care if a plot made sense as long as they had a good time. In the year that passed between finishing the first version and shooting the new scenes, Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart had gotten married to strain their relationship with Howard Hawks, who sold his personal contract for Bacall services to Warner Brothers. Hawks didn't even want to direct them in the new scenes unless they promised not to, quote, get mushy all the time. Hey, come on, back off the newlyweds. Warner Brothers executives were so impressed with Lauren Bacall's work and the success of her previously released Have and Have Not that they renegotiated her contract, raising her salary from $350 a week to $1,000. By the time the film's projected completion date arrives, Howard Hawks had shot less than half the script. Although Bogart's marital problems had caused some delays, the main problem was Hawks' continual rewriting. While the studio closed for the Christmas holidays, Hawks and Jules Furthman shortened the script so that he could finish the film more quickly and economically, cutting whole scenes to free up sets. He finally finished the film 34 days behind schedule because they had kept secondary sets as inexpensive as possible. However, he was only $15,000 over budget. Although Lauren Bacall shot another film, Confidential Agent, after this one, Warner's decided to release it first, arguing that the later film was more topical and needed to come out during the final days of World War II. They also felt it showcased Bacall more effectively. The film turned out to be a disaster, however. At the urging of her agent Charles Feldman, Hawks in his studio built up her part in the Big Sleep and reshot a scene which she wore an unflattering veil. The original version was only shown to U.S. soldiers stationed overseas. Philip Epstein, co-author of Casablanca, helped Howard Hawks write the new scenes. His goal was to create a more sexual chemistry between the stars. Playing on the insolence Lauren Bacall shown to Have and Have Not, his work included the famous horse racing scene filled with double entendre that sailed right by the industry censors, enforcing the production code. In later years, Hawks would claim to have written it because the retakes were forcing him to miss the races at Santa Anita. Yeah, right. No, that's not what they're talking about, bruv. Very clearly. Okay. All right. In conversation with Carmen, Marlowe says the next time he'll come in with a tennis racket. This is an end joke referring to the legend that uh, all the young Humphrey Bogart ever stood on stage as a struggling juvenile actor was tennis anyone? Cold Cut's remix of Eric B. and Rakim's Paid in Full included a sample of Humphrey Bogart saying, "Now, wait a minute, you better talk to my mother." On the first day of shooting, Bogart allegedly had 5 or 6 drinks at lunch, which infuriated Howard Hawks, who berated Bogart for his unprofessionalism. After that, he was limited to 1 beer. Film editor Christian Nyby later directed the sci-fi classic The Thing from Another World, which used Howard Hawks' favorite stylistic trademark, overlapping dialogue. Max Steiner's soundtrack was later recycled into Warner Brothers' low-budget television productions in the 1950s, most notably Maverick. Included among the 1001 movies you must see before you die, edited by Steven Snyder. Bob Steele, who played Canino, was well known as a heavy in westerns and got a chance to play in something current. Sonia Darren, who plays Agnes, is unbilled even though she has a key part. In 2016, in an interview for the New York Post, she explained that the studio head, Jack Al Warner, had gotten into an argument with her agent. The agent and his clients were subsequently banned from the lot. Warner couldn't cut Sonia's scenes and retaliated by denying her an on-screen credit. Philip Marlowe's habit of feeling his earlobe while deep in thought was something Humphrey Bogart incorporated from his own behavior. Reshooting scenes a year later meant having to recast one role. Eddie Marr's wife, Mona, originally played by Pat Clark, the role was reshot with Peggy Knudsen. Bogart had to wear platform shoes to appear taller than his two leading ladies. That may be the reason why both women taunt him about his lack of height. Film's box office success put Howard Hawks in a position to demand an unprecedented level of freedom for a Hollywood director, allowing him to incorporate his own production company and shop projects to the highest bidder. Other directors would follow suit. This was only one of two Warner Brothers films on which future Nobel Prize winner William Faulkner received credit as a screenwriter. The other two, Have and To Have Not, also star Bogart and Bacall, and was directed by Howard Hawks. Hawks bought the rights to the book for $20,000, then sold them to the studio for $55,000. Lee Brackett had only one meeting with co-writer William Faulkner. He told her they would each adapt alternate chapters of the original novel, then went off to work on his own. They finished their first draft in 8 days. Howard Hawks patched together their various scenes. Bogart read the script and objected to some of the lines he thought were too genteel for the character. He assumed they had been written by Lee Brackett because she was a woman. When he went on to request rewrites from her, she told him they were Faulkner's lines. She then proceeded to make the dialogue even more hard-boiled and tough. As a result, he nicknamed her Butch. After seeing Bogart in The Maltese Falcon, Lee Brackett was inspired to write her first detective novel, No Good from a Corpse. It was this book that won her the job of writing the film. And a bow to the General Sternwood character, Lauren Bacall played Luke Harper's wheelchair-bound employer in Harper, which starred Paul Newman in the title role of the detective thriller. Howard Hawks' work on the film triggered a shift in his approach to filmmaking, leading to more leisurely, loosely plotted films in which character development and individual scenes take precedence over narrative coherence. He would later say, I never figured out what was going on, but I figured out that the basic thing had great scenes in it, and it was good entertainment. After that got by, I said, I'm never going to worry about being logical again. Many critics thought the plot was still too complicated. Whether it was wish fulfillment or his own desire to increase the film's sexual tension, Howard Hawks decided that every woman in the film would find Marlowe irresistible and try to seduce him. Yeah, this was a rough movie for him. All the way he was drinking. He should have had a good time. While casting the film, Howard Hawks was impressed by a glamorous photo of model turned actress Martha Vickers. He had started acting in horror films at Universal. So he had Warner Brothers buy up her contract and then taught her how to exploit her sexuality to the maximum as the nymphomaniacal Carmen. The film is included on Roger Ebert's Great Movies list. The bookstore across from Arthur Geiger's bookshop, in which Marlowe visits and for its proprietress, is called Acme Bookshop. At the time, it was a fairly popular term, which means the best. It was a popular generic name for fictional businesses in both film and, of course, Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoons. The latter is arguably the most famous in the Roadrunner, the business often run by his nemesis Wile E. Coyote. All kinds of real as well as impossible weapons, tools, and devices. It's also a popular generic name for any fictional company. The Acme Bookshop proprietress describes Arthur Geiger as having a Charlie Chan like mustache. Just like Marlowe, Charlie Chan is a popular fictional detective created by Earl Dare Biggers. Biggers loosely based Chan on Honolulu detective Chang Apana and conceived benevolent and heroic Chan as an alternative to Yellow Peril stereotypes and villains like Fu Manchu, who are all the rage at the time, but who also represented the predominant way Asians are depicted on film. Chan is detective for the Honolulu police, though many of the stories feature Chan traveling the world as he investigates mysteries and solves crimes. Countless movies and TV serials have been filmed based on Chan's adventures, especially during the first half of the 20th century. In recent decades, the character, although considered progressive at the time it was created, has been deemed as borderline offensive to Asians, so his popularity dwindled, unlike that of some other private detectives from his era. However, at the time this film was made, Chan would have been as popular as Sherlock Holmes. Marlowe asked about an 1860 edition of Ben-Hur at Geiger's Rare Bookstore. Lew Wallace did not get it published until 1880. Included among the American Film Institute's 1998 list of the 400 movies nominated for the top 100 greatest movies. Okay. Of the many ways Hollywood hid Humphrey Bogart's small stature, two are shown heavily in this film. The women all wear flats, unusual at the time, and Lauren Bacall slouches in the car's passenger seat when she has no reason to hide. Uh, the movie stars two Oscar winners, Humphrey Bogart and Dorothy Malone, and one Oscar nominee, Lauren Bacall. John Ireland tested for the roles of both Eddie Mars and Lash Kanina. The Tap Pants Ensemble costumer Leah Rhodes put Carmen into as she meets Marla for the first time was about as short as shorts could get at the time. The fact that the film is set in Southern California might explain the summery outfit, but the weather and clothing in the next few scenes look more appropriate to rainy, old-fashioned Los Angeles winter. It was obviously meant to set atmosphere, and it did. Although the film was released post World War II, the sight of a wartime female cab driver would have been familiar to audiences. In the movie, when the general asks Marlowe how he likes his brandy, in the film, Marlowe responds, "In a glass." The book, Marlowe responds with, "Any way at all." In the book, this scene with the general indulging his pleasures by proxy is continued with the general allowing Marlowe to smoke a cigarette so he can vigorously sniff the secondhand smoke. In the book, Marlowe teasingly tells Carmen he has a Balinese dancer tattooed across his right thigh. The films changed the statement to a less suggestive statement of having a Balinese dancing girl tattooed across his chest. With this film, Humphrey Bogart became the only known actor to play both Philip Marlowe and Sam Spade on film. He had portrayed Spade in The Maltese Falcon. Both hard-boiled detective characters were phenomenally popular in books, radio, and film for decades. Director Howard Hawks found the plot so convoluted that he couldn't work out if Owen Taylor had been murdered or if he self-deleted. He and Humphrey Bogart called author Raymond Chandler, who said he didn't know either.
Wow.
So who killed the chauffeur? As many times as I've seen this movie, I've never been able to figure it out. Now, one theory is that Carmen killed him too, but you're talking about a woman who's like 90 pounds soaking wet, crazy or not. I don't think she beat the guy to death, put him back in his car, and drove him off a pier. I'm not buying it. I mean, maybe that's how it happened, but
Yeah.
I
woman
don't
or
know.
her statue would not be able to move a man.
Yeah.
Period.
Uh, it was posthumously listed as one of Akira Kurosawa's 100 favorite films. The name of the apartment building, Randall Arms, also appears uh, in uh, in this Our Life. Before the bookshop scene with Bogart and Dorothy Malone, Marlowe was doing research at the Hollywood Public Library. Carol Douglas was said to have played the librarian behind the counter who has a brief conversation with Marlowe. Closer look, the librarian looks very much like Dorothy Malone. See, it was about to come. Um, Carol Douglas's only true credit was The Big Sleep, which gave credence to the conservative dressed hairpin back schoolmarm librarian was Malone. Uh, okay. They do look kind of similar. Many of the actors played roles a generation younger in their real age. Carmen was 26, playing an adolescent. Marlowe was supposedly 38. Bogart was 47 at the time. In real life, the general's daughters were only 8 months difference in age. Based on Raymond Chandler's biggest selling novel and the first in the private detective Philip Marlowe franchise. Uh, the set of The Pier, seen when a Packard limo is fished out of the bay, also appeared in another 1940s Warner classic. Joan Crawford was seen suffering in mink while contemplating throwing herself off the same pier at the beginning of 1945's Mildred Pierce. And of course, like we said earlier, the Sternwood Mansion is also in Mildred Pierce under a different name. So use the same sets. The back studio wall is visible in one panoramic shot. Okay. Viewers followed Marlowe out of the Geiger bookstore over to the bookstore across the street. There are few outdoor location shots. Viewers could sense perfect lighting without the uneven shadows you find on a massive studio set. Crossing the street, viewers could see the vertical back wall, a massive stretch of plain wall with a steel studio girder blended through into black and white film format to guise the massive wall. Yes, the film is shot mostly in a movie studio. The alert viewer could see the back wall. Yeah, they said that. Okay. Because Vivian wears a shark tooth ensemble that seems similar but not precise to Slim's ensemble, last seen in the last scene of To Have and Have Not. To Have or Have Not. You know what I mean. The designs had a tight, dotty-ish look on a coat and skirt that flattered Bacall's slim figure. However, one was shark tooth pattern while the other had squares. Okay. While working on the script, writers William Faulkner and Lee Brackett couldn't figure out from the novel who murdered Owen Taylor. So they phoned Chandler, who angrily told them the answer was right there in the book. They shrugged and returned to their work. Chandler soon phoned to say that he elected the book himself and couldn't figure out who killed the character, so he left it up to them to decide. In the original cut shown to the armed services, this question is resolved. In the film, as released, it isn't. So tell us! Okay. Uh, Howard Hawks reused the way Eddie Mars meets his demise, shot by his own men after opening a door, with that of the character Milton Hawks' later Western, El Dorado, which we've done on Western cinema. According to Howard Hawks, in various interviews, he and writers tried various endings for the story. In one, Carmen attempts to fake a self-deletion, only to discover that her gun is loaded with real bullets rather than blanks. Whoops. Next, they had Carmen confess to her crimes and walk into an ambush by gangsters. Finally, they wrote it so Marlowe decided, on the basis of a coin toss, to allow her to leave the house and walk into the ambush. When the production code committee objected to the violence, Hawks asked how they would end the film. They came up with the idea of Marlowe forcing the gangster chief out of the house where the criminal was shot by his own gang. Hawks was so impressed, he offered to hire them as writers. In Chandler's book, Carmen is an nymphomaniac who shot Sean Regan and dumped his body down an oil well. Geiger ran a porn business using his bookstore's cover. Neither of these two topics are addressed due to Hollywood censors at the time. Okay. In one major departure from the novel, Howard Hawks decided not to have Lauren Bacall turn out to be an accomplice to the murder and omitted the murder victim from the story as well. That allowed her to enjoy a final clinch with Humphrey Bogart, at the same time capitalizing on the couple's success together from their previous film and their romantic relationship off screen. All right. Michael Jackson used a chase scene in his last concert film, This Is It, from around 56 minutes into the film, where Marlowe chases a guy down a stairway. The kid is replaced by Jackson while Humphrey Bogart is still present. All right. That is it.
The scrolls are closed.
The scrolls are closed.
All right, cool. You join us on Sunday, Western Cinema, with Hombre, starring Paul Newman. And then next week, we're going to do Dick Tracy.
Yep.
The one with Madonna. And, I'm drawing a blank on the main actor, the guy who plays Dick Tracy.
Warren Beatty.
Yeah, Warren Beatty.
Yep.
As always, be excellent to each other, party on, and we'll see you on the next one.
Right on. All right. And I would like to thank everybody who joined us today. Hope that you enjoyed the film. This was the one I picked out. When Bill said he wanted to do a noir month, this is the first one that kind of came to my mind. So I hope that everybody enjoyed it. I do want to thank everybody who joined us in the live chat, both on all on YouTube, on StreamYard, and on Cosme. We had over 100 people watching at one point. So thank you to everybody who joined us, even if it was only for a few minutes, or anybody who might have been lurking in the background, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to engage with the chat. Just as long as you enjoyed the show, hit the like, share out the stream. If you like what you see, Bill and I do this show every week at around this time. So if you like what you see, join us next week. And even better yet, hey, subscribe to our channels. Become members. Memberships are available. It's free.
Wait.
The membership parts are a little bit.
The channel, subscribe to the channel for free. But if you want to join the channel membership, those cost a little. Not much, but a little.
Not much, no. All right. So, as I say at the end of every broadcast from HQ, all points north, south, east, west, and beyond, including our second home office in Arizona. Good night. Take care. Stay strong. Be safe and healthy. Please let us know in the comments if you know who killed the chauffeur. Because this is how we win. Author of the book doesn't even know who killed a character in his own book. My God.